Hidden Object Guru here, back with more Epic Adventures Cursed on Board! Or maybe Cursed Aboard? It is evil, Maddie. 100%. But again, I will explain this to you later. Just let me pause this. Okay, let's find out what's going on. So that's the code for decoding files, but I don't have any files. Yeah, my snack of tonight was, let's see, right before the stream started, I had some delicious peppers, and I had some at the beginning of the. I finished off at the beginning of the stream. It was a giant, delicious red pepper. And thank you, Shaggy, for muting Maddie. You got to learn to follow instructions. If I tell you not to talk about a thing anymore, just don't talk about it anymore. And you might say, well, Hogaru's gone mad with power. And I would say, yes, I have gone mad with power. The power to remind people that Nazis were bad. And there is no comparison between them and anybody else. And it's sad that that's a controversial opinion these days. But we live in a screwed up time. Alright, scales. One spearhead. Oh, I already found the second spearhead. I need a boomerang. Seriously, though, thanks, Shaggy, for being on top of this. Boomerang. Horn, flag, spearhead, boomerang. Horn, flag, spearhead, boomerang. That was a flag? That looked like a ragged piece of cloth. Although, really, can you tell the difference these days in, you know, descending respect for national pride? Sorry. I wanted to turn that into a speech by a right-wing politician, but my heart's not in it. Okay. Okay. How is that not a boomerang? Anyway, or a horn for that matter. Alright, so I need a horn, a boomerang, and one spearhead, and once we found two of them... Oh, there's the boomerang. Alright, I need a horn, and I need a spearhead. Okay. Come on, horn, spearhead, help me out here. Sadly, I don't know what kind of horn it is. It could even be like a musical instrument. I think that's a pool cue? Or maybe like a pointer? I never understood pointers for blackboards in school. I'm like, you got fingers. You don't need to tap the board. Yeah, I can't believe... you're right, Phoenix. I can't believe they still haven't settled that Friday the 13th lawsuit. Are we really having this much trouble with this? Is that it? No. Alright, I'm coming to help. Oh, wait. No, that's not the horn either. Oh, it's another feather. There's feathers all over this screen.
So there are also peppers.
I don't need peppers.
I know, but I just wanted you to know there are also peppers on them.
Yeah, like they're there and the giant bunch of them. Okay. Still need a horn and or a spearhead.
That.
I think that's a fish skeleton.
No, it looks like a whistle, maybe?
That is definitely a whistle.
Yeah,
100% you're right, that's a whistle. Oh, horn instead of whistle. Yeah, that would have made perfect sense. The weird part is I actually would have been satisfied with that explanation had that been the result. Oh, mortar and pestles. You're the most popular thing to appear in hidden object games right after gramophones.
I was going to say, is it not gramophones?
Yeah, I said after gramophones. Oh, screw you.
Where?
You're going to be so pissed off when I tell you where the spearhead is. Look to the right of the drum.
I've looked there so many times. Yeah, I still don't see it.
My pointer is on it. I told you! Didn't I just tell you? Alright, let's see what they meant by horn, okay? All right, hint us. It is...
Wait, that.
We definitely clicked on that. Yeah, I'm mad too. No, you were right to be this angry. Return the jewel or you will be cursed!
Cursed, we say.
Cursed! So we gotta find a magic jewel and bring it back, and then, hey, problem solved. What are you watching, Hylian? I'd be very interested to hear of people who are getting over, Game of Thrones. I would suggest Criminal Minds.
That was sarcasm.
It was! I run a Criminal Minds podcast about how bad Criminal Minds is. Okay. Envelop. Compass. Surgical cap. X-ray. Well, there's the X-ray. Ash. Poison. Poison. That'll be a bottle with a skull and crossbones on it, right? No, it's just...
We're only one day away from must-see TV.
I know, it's about time.
That's right. Only one day
Oh,
away.
yeah, I hear Chernobyl is great. I've heard nothing but good things about Chernobyl. I'm very excited to watch it, although apparently it's really disgusting visually.
Yeah, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, I didn't think you should. And it has... oh, do they have the creation of the elephant foot in it? This is a place where radioactive matter dripped right through, like, feet of concrete, and the shape it just stopped in looks like an elephant foot.
I am actually aware.
Just making sure. Myth book?
Just saying. I stopped watching Barry.
Oh yeah, speaking of, if you want something to fill the hole in your heart after the loss of Chernobyl, sorry, now that Chernobyl's over, because it's only, what, 6 episodes? Go watch Barry. It's literally the best show on television.
Except for the scene where I stopped watching.
It's a tough show. At one point, a guy does have a tooth filed out of his head. Where the hell is this ash? Alright, I'll focus on other things. I don't know why I thought it would be so easy to find ash. So thumbprint, packaging signs, the X.
I feel like the government of Ontario should have better tourism advertising than to advertise my own province.
To you.
Travel to my own province to me when I watch one.
That's pretty bad. Although, I mean, if they want to remind you to... Surgical caps aren't brown. What is wrong with you? God, this game has so much color cheating in it. It's disgusting. Yeah, seriously though, like, Niagara Falls is pretty boss. If you live anywhere else in Ontario, it's pretty great to go to Niagara Falls.
Also, Algonquin Park.
Yeah, Algonquin Park's pretty badass too. Although honestly, if you live anywhere in Ontario, you're like 1 hour from a place that looks like Algonquin Park.
No, Southern Ontario.
You have to go pretty far south to, you know, not be able to... You're 1 hour away from nice forests. 1 hour from nice forests from downtown Toronto. You go straight north on the 404, you're going to get me in nice forests in 1 hour. That is my promise to you, as long as it's not rush hour. I cannot promise that in rush hour. There's the ashes. Test tube holder. Oh my god. How did I not notice that earlier? Alright, I need an envelope, I need an X, and I need packaging signs, and I'm still not clear on what packaging signs is supposed to mean. So now we're going to use a clue to find out. Is it the airmail? No. Is it the horsey? No. Like, what could they mean by packaging signs? What the hell is that? Oh! Down here on the very front there, right? Right at the front of the table, there are the different kinds of, like, fragile, don't get it wet, blah, 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 to put on the front of a package. I do understand that, yeah.
Oh, that actually is logical.
The temple and the jewel. The Temple of Forbidden Glory lies near the southwestern bank of the Amazon, where 2 mighty mountains meet to make a cross. It is stated that a great evil was set loose upon the earth, and a powerful sorcerer sacrificed himself to trap the evil within a jewel. The magnificent jewel holds great powers. Only the pure of heart can gain riches and richest of wealth, honor, and wisdom by its strength. Legend has it that if ever the jewel was removed from its designated location within the temple, A great curse will be unleashed soon upon the offender. Beware! The jewel must forever lie within the stone! Wait, how can you put a jewel in a stone? Oh, maybe there's like a mounting place in a stone wall? Okay. I get it. Nice. Although it is not that big of a hassle to cross the border at Niagara Falls. Like, even if you're on the other side of the border in Niagara Falls and had to go back to your Game Boy, you literally just, like, the border's right there.
Just watch The Long Kiss Goodnight before you go. Because you can make all the references.
It's true.
Which I'm not saying we did twice.
We did 4 times.
I meant in 1 year.
Oh, in 1 year,
Not
yes.
in, like, the references were more than 2.
That's what I'm saying, yes. We talked a lot about The Long Kiss Goodnight. It's a great movie, is the point. My God, so much of that movie was shot in Toronto. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Ear tops? What are ear tops? But yeah, Niagara Falls is the best. If you have a chance to go to Niagara Falls, do. If you have a chance to go to Niagara Falls in the dead of winter, it is 100 times better. That seems like I'm overstating things, but it's really amazing seeing the ice-covered falls. You won't get to go on the boat that takes you into the waterfall, for example, but the visual of pouring water on giant amounts of ice is frankly incredible, and everyone should get a chance to see that. I know a lot of people like the boats, and all of the indoor stuff is still open, so you can go see the... Oh yeah, you can't go to the caves. But you can go and see the butterflies, for example.
Butterflies!
Yeah, they have a butterfly spawning location, and it is amazing.
And also the flowers were really nice.
Flowers were nice, too. They had a tropical flower exhibition that's there year-round and operates year-round. There's the bat. It was a picture of a bat. And it is beautiful. I know it just like I'm campaigning for the tourism board of Niagara Falls at this time, but they've earned it. They do a great job.
There's this restaurant called the Moose and Pepper, slightly off the beaten path.
Super delish.
Best
A mint.
restaurant ever.
I, personally, was attacked by a bird. Well, not so much attacked as the bird got on my arm for a picture, and then it 100% did not want to get back off my arm.
Oh, Jojo, the giant parrot.
He is such a huge parrot, and he 100% refused to get off my arm. The guy's like, here, have some food if you get on my arm. And Jojo's like, no, I'm good here. And he has me walk over to Jojo's stand that Jojo normally stands on. And Jojo was like, nope, I'm good here. This is where I live now. He ended up pushing the bird off of my arm. Okay, I feel very stupid because last time I was here... Last time I was on one of these screens, it asked me for a mint, and it was one of the last things I found because I thought it was the plant, but it was just like a white and red, you know, mint candy. And this time it was the plant. It's like they're teasing me. Like Moses, like God teased Moses in the desert. No? It's a Simpsons reference.
I got it.
No, the bird liked me a lot. I cannot deny that.
Because you're taller and you were more of a tree.
It mistook me for a tree, I think is Lazy Writer's suggestion, and I would say she was probably right. I was mistaken for a tree. So later we went through the giant Birdapalooza. That was the private parrot area. So there's a private parrot area. There's a Birdapalooza where there's just, what, 500 birds?
Yeah.
Some crazy amount like that, like just a shockingly large number of birds. And then they have a small bird sanctuary that is literally only for birds that are no more than 2 inches tall. And there are so many birds in that area too, but they're all so tiny. They will fly right by your face and they won't, like, it doesn't bother them at all being around people. Like, they're totes fine with it. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, after my experience with Jojo, there's the cage where you can go in to feed the birds, and they'll land right on your hand and eat the food out of your hand. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. After the experience I just had with Jojo, I think I'm keeping back from birds for a little while. We did see some amazing birds, though, I'm not gonna lie. I did. But I got over it. Like, it's not a thing I'll never do again. But at the like, I had just had the experience with JoJo, so I was a little wary. I swear we found the arrow last time we were here, and now I've forgotten where it was. This is oh no, the arrow was the previous screen.
Don't forget the fact that it was a
Oh no, we did. I was wrong.
Archaeology.
Oh yeah, no. Within the building that the bird sanctuary is in, used to be a charlatan museum. Like in the year 1910, a guy's like, "I'm a world traveler," wink, and I brought all of my it was a whistle. All of my treasures from my world travels around the world, and I'm putting this in a museum. And it was just a bunch of fake crap that he, you know, went to a store in New York and bought, and he figured all the rubes who would come to Niagara Falls wouldn't know the difference. And he set up the cheapest and worst museum in the world, and apparently did okay for himself for a couple of years. I really thought that was going to be the wand. Is this the wand? No. Is that the wand? Also no.
Although we did send those pictures of a museum to our archaeology friend.
That's true. Yeah, she found them very entertaining. Hookah leaf wand. How is a hookah this hard to find? Hookahs are frigging huge. It's a giant cylinder in the middle with a bunch of tubes coming off of it that you smoke tobacco from. Like, oh, there it is. Okay, I'm a little embarrassed. That does sound nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, I could see having birds. I mean, in the sense that I'm pretending I don't actually have birds right now. I do. I have now raised 3 generations of pigeons. Accidentally. And this is the last one. Once these pigeons are gone, no more pigeons. But...
No more pigeons.
Oh, there's a leaf. It's a maple leaf, and it wasn't hard to find at all.
Okay, the fact that it was a maple leaf.
It makes me look even worse than I already did. Yes. Yeah, no. I was being insulted by this this leaf quite a bit. What? Oh, the one place I didn't click. Snake food! We've got snake food, everybody. Yeah. Wait. Let me do another take. I got snake food, everybody. No, to feed the sharks with. They're dyslexic. Da-da-da-da-da-da. That's the worst joke I've ever told. To the point where it might not even technically be a joke. How do you accidentally raise pigeons? Well, you leave a bunch of planters out from the year before when you grew plants.
2:53
and then you don't pay... Oh, I'll let this guy
Everything
tell, and I'll
is
tell you the story of how you
starting to make
accidentally raise
sense
pigeons.
The physician was right about the source being supernatural. According to the myth, the jewel holds great arcane powers that bring terrible fate to anybody who tries to steal it. I must find that jewel and return it to the temple.
I learned all
It
of this. I
validates
did
the
read the
confession
story,
letter
so
and
you
seems
don't have to
likely
restate
that the
it.
treasure the culprit
Thank
was
you.
talking about was the jewel. I have to figure out who the culprit is to trace the jewel itself.
Yay, we're at the front of the boat. So here's how you accidentally raise pigeons. Step 1, have a balcony that pigeons like to hang out on, which they did. Step 2, leave a bunch of stuff out there, empty planters, that would be so obviously a good nest that they don't even need to bother going and getting twigs and pieces of thread and paper to turn it into a nest. Right? 3, close the door and have a fan all of the time so you can't hear the pigeons constantly banging out on your balcony. So you realize something...
You can still hear them.
Well, this year, because they're banging a lot closer to the window. But anyway, and then 4, go out one day to clean out the balcony, look into the into what you thought was an empty planter, and find 2 pigeon eggs. And now you're essentially morally required to stand back and just let the pigeons have your balcony for the next 2 months until those eggs hatch and then they grow into pigeons that can fly. Then it got worse because the second clutch of pigeons that went there, so there was one who was like awesome at flying right away, and one of them was ridiculously shy and refused to learn to fly. And so, like, the other 3 pigeons were, like, nuzzling him and pushing him towards the edge of the balcony, trying to push him off, and he wouldn't go, and he would freak out until they backed off. And so at one point they just left him alone for like a day and a half, I guess, trying to teach him a lesson. And I'm like, they haven't been out there in a day and a half, and he can't do anything. So, and then, and this is the really bad part, the forecast says we were going to have ice rain. So I went out there and I built him a pigeon house, and I filled it with towels so he could be comfortable, and I got out some seed for him and a bunch of water for him. And that is how you accidentally raise pigeons.
That's how you, that was, you forgot the step where you got rid of the nest because you thought he was gone.
Oh yeah, I did.
And then you felt really bad.
I cleaned up that's true, I cleaned out, I thought they were all gone and he had learned to fly, so I cleaned up the entire, the entire balcony, and there was literally one last thing for me to clean up, and I lifted it up to sweep out from under it, and there was a tiny, terrified pigeon there, because he had been hiding the entire time I was out on the balcony, not making a sound as I cleaned. You're so frustrating. Hopefully that pigeon's doing fine now. He eventually did learn to fly and leave. For all I know, he could be one of the new parent pigeons this year.
No, it's the same parent pigeon, but because the same parent pigeons will always
Come back to the
nest
same
in
nest,
same place.
right.
But the other pigeons you see are the
The
kid
kids,
pigeons.
okay.
'Cause
They drop by to visit. That's good to know.
researched pigeons, 'cause this is what you made me into.
I'm a monster, you're a monster, we're all monsters. Yes, a number of the 12 and run hidden object games are worth watching. I can guarantee that you will be surprised and delighted. The weird part is most of them are interesting in one way or the other. I can guarantee, okay, so off the top of my head, 100% I can guarantee you will enjoy the Jack the Ripper one. The Jack the Ripper one is one of the most most interesting hidden object games I've ever played, but I can't tell you why without spoiling it. So suffice to say, it has the craziest story in the world. So the Jack the Ripper one is good. Secret Case Files FBI or whatever it's called, the one which is a ripoff of the X-Files, is okay.
Ooh.
It's not great, but it's okay. The Bonnie and Clyde one is interesting. One that's really fascinating is the game Petrodollars, which is about an FBI agent trying to like stop a conspiracy by some oil companies to destabilize the Middle East, which is interesting only insofar as for the main character, they just took pictures of the actress Rose Byrne and just drew over them slightly for the main character. So that's pretty interesting. And and I don't remember what the last one was called. Like, the last one, I'm glad you enjoyed the pigeon story. Oh. Well, that's great, looking after the neighborhood cats.
We used to do that. That's how my family ended up with a cat.
Yeah, because they dropped off, all the cats were happy being feral, but the mother cat was like, well, there's something wrong with this cat. So the mother cat carried the cat that was wrong up to their house and just left it in the house.
So the cats, in the really cold days of winter, the cats would, we would open the patio door in the back room to let them in the heat of the house to warm up. But as soon as we came into that room, they'd all scurry.
Yeah.
Except for the one little white one, who was just like,
Do 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 do.
they don't give me any food. And just stayed.
Yeah.
So
They had decided to abandon the deaf cat.
so she would leave with them a few times, but every now and again she kept staying. So finally one day we opened the interior door to the house, to that back room.
Yeah.
And she was just like, what's in here? And sat in the middle of the living room floor and was like,
This
I'm
is
not
fine.
leaving.
This is
We were
fine.
like, hey, she's white and has one green eye, one blue eye. Ah, she's deaf.
Yeah.
We can't kick her out. We have 2 family members that are allergic to cats, but we can't kick her out.
I'm not saying
So
cats
we
are monsters,
suffered
but
for 16 years.
they legit did abandon their deaf cat.
Yeah.
Their deaf sibling.
But the mom cat came back to make sure the cat
no.
was fine.
And that's
she was
good.
like, yo, you're looking after my offspring? All right, we're solid. We're solid.
Yeah. They were nice.
Years later, would talk to a friend that lived 2 blocks away.
No, hail is not ice rain. Ice rain is a weird condition that you may not get where you live. That is where in the high altitude it's warm, so you get rain, and in the low altitude, and so basically hail is rain high up, then middle altitude to low altitude it's cold, so it has time to turn into hail.
So
Ice
balls.
rain is so you
hail
get
is like
it turns into
from the
balls.
pebble side, like it's round, it's hard.
Yeah.
It can actually dent your car.
Oh yeah, no.
It's
She
big,
knows what
it's
hail
small.
is. That's
Okay.
not the issue.
Sorry.
No. So ice rain is different because ice rain is essentially cloud level, warm, middle level, like between us and about 100 feet off the ground, still warm. The last 100 feet below freezing. So essentially, the raindrops only turn into ice at the last moment, and it is like having daggers of ice fall on you.
Daggers of ice, and it also coats everything in
Yeah.
ice, but also water,
Yeah.
making it
Incredibly
treacherously
slippery.
Coats
So, for
tree
example-
limbs in like coats of ice. So
Yeah.
if you've ever
So
seen
what happens is it's so cold and so daggery that it will splash onto something, and as it is in the process of splashing, it'll turn into ice.
Yeah.
And so you will get sheets of ice covering literally everything.
So if you've ever seen pictures of Canada where you have trees with no leaves on them and it's snow, but the trees are like shining because they look like they're covered in ice.
They literally are covered in
They're
ice.
literally covered
Yeah.
in ice. And then what happens is all the tree branches break. Like
Yeah.
you can get ice rain so bad that it'll coat the power lines and your power poles will go down.
Yeah, it's because
Either
you're
by
suddenly
limbs or-
literally power limbs will because if you think about it, it's just a wire, and now that wire has 200 pounds of ice on it. So
So, like, you hear stories about natural disasters. One of the, like, more, I don't know, challenging ones Ontario
There we
or
go.
our area ever faced was the ice storm of, what, 97?
I think it was 97 or 98, and just
Yeah.
wiped out the huge amounts of
People were,
stuff.
like, in some areas in the country, people were, like, a month without power.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It destroyed our infrastructure.
Yeah.
We had to rebuild everything afterwards.
And my university did not cancel class.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Legendarily, every year in Ottawa shut down except for Carleton University.
Yeah.
Carleton University was like, no, classes are still on. I was like, all right, I guess I'll go to class. And I was walking to class, and interestingly enough, Carleton has not actual roadways to a lot of their buildings, but pathways through, beautiful parks,
Yeah.
which is great until you have ice rain and you're walking, doing like the duck walk, trying to
Oh, that's the
slip.
worst.
And fortunately, I was sort of head first, so this giant branch on a tree, falls down, scratches the end of my
Oof.
nose. That's how close it was to hitting me in the head.
That's
and
terrifying.
that was the point where I decided that the sidewalk to the bar was salted, so I wasn't going to class that day.
Damn right. It's funny, my cat was the runt of the litter. Like, it was this tiny, tiny cat. And they thought it wasn't going to survive to the point where, in order for it to get any milk at all, they had to separate it in another room with the mother because the other cats would just push it off. It was that tiny. And that cat grew up to be a giant monster cat. Like, literally just enormous. Like, it was like a 25-pound cat. It was huge. And it was a jerk, and I loved it. And it wasn't a jerk to me. It was just a jerk to dogs and other cats. It was a very territorial. Even by cat standards.
That's because you never met Mitzi.
Okay?
My grandmother's cat, that was like my cat and my grandmother's cat, would only let one of the two of us pet it.
How is this not the blade? Oh, it's just a knife. I get it.
She was so mean to everyone.
Aww.
She was this like beautiful long-haired gray cat.
Ah.
Hated the world.
Oh, you fell on your viola case. That's terrible. Oh, the instrument was fine. That's good.
Oh, that's
At one time, I was in Montreal, and the ice rain was so bad. Like, it had ice rained all morning. Those are not music bars. Those are levels, but whatever. It had ice rained all morning, but then we got these epic winds. And so sheets of ice were being blown off of buildings. And, like, you would see a sheet of ice pirouette through the air and crash on the ground. It was pretty terrifying.
If you travel to certain areas of Montreal or Ottawa when it's ice rain season, you'll actually see warnings to watch for falling ice.
A couple of my friends had driven up from Ottawa to pick me up because I was in Montreal at the time. And I'm like, it looks like there's going to be a blizzard. Let's get out of town. And my friend was like, no, there's time for us to have a dinner at some nice Montreal restaurant, right? And I'm like, no, there's a blizzard on the way. And then my friend insisted. And I'm like, okay, great, we had dinner, fantastic. And we drove back, and there were 2 cars, and let's just say I was not in the mood to get caught by a storm, so I drove considerably faster than I probably should have. And I managed to get just ahead of the storm, and it took me 2 hours to get from Montreal to Ottawa. It took her 4.5.
Which friend?
Oh, I'm not saying her name out loud, but you know who it is. Yeah, of course. Like, we can definitely have time to go to a restaurant like ice storm, blizzard, high winds. What is wrong with you? Dynamite! We did it. Wait, where was the scale? Oh, that's the scale. Oh. Okay, I actually feel pretty dumb. That was obviously a scale. You're right, I need to learn the combination. Okay. Yeah, it turned out to be a razor blade. I really thought it was going to be a knife, but it wasn't. This is going to be the perfect time to take a break. We've gotten to another location. We've had some fun finding items. There's a hidden object screen queued up for when we start back on this tomorrow, so that should be great. I've been the Hidden Object Guru. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. If you had a good time and you'd like to see more, there's buttons for that coming up. Questions, suggestions, related whatnots, go to the comments section below the video. If you're curious about what happens next on the Wreck of the La Jangada, check out the next item on the playlist. I'll see you back here for that, but until then, au revoir.